We live in a strange world. Somehow we have problems with both obesity and famine at the same time. Does that seem right to you? And of course, both come with their own catalogue of sub-problems, but you rarely hear starving people complaining about healthcare as much as you hear fat people complaining about it. And they aren't really serious complaints either. More along the lines of, my doctor stated the obvious about my weight and it hurt my feelings. As shown by Elman, who is here to tell us what to do when your doctor is fatphobic.
Hey friends, if you've not been here before, my name is Elman and I make videos on body positivity and self-love.
You know, I've not been to this channel before, but I think I recognise you. Oh yeah, you were in that BBC video about loving your chunky body. And you have your own channel about body positivity too. You're like fat for a living, aren't you?
And today I'm going to talk about advocating for yourself in a doctor's office. I am quite experienced in a doctor's office, having had 15 surgeries.
Whoa, are you going for the high score or something? It's a shame a medical professional didn't tell you to not wear that dress because you look like a disco ball.
And because my medical files are all across the world, I have had the experience of walking into a doctor's office, the doctor thinking that every reason why I'm there is my weight.
Well, maybe not every reason, but it's sure to have an impact, much like you do when you sit down.
Before I list my entire medical record of 15 surgeries...
You do seem unusually proud of that number, Michelle. Is it a fetish thing? I bet it's a fetish thing.
And then they actually take me seriously. But it shouldn't have to get to that point. It shouldn't have to take me saying I have a brain tumour, punctured intestine, obstructed bowel cyst in my brain.
Again, how unusually proud. It reminds me of one of those people who won't stop talking about their physical ailments like they're some kind of achievement. You know the ones. Can't go 10 minutes without somehow working their sciatica into the conversation. They're like the medical version of vegans.
For me to get an accurate and proper and thorough medical examination, and you shouldn't have to go through that either, because if you don't have a medical record like mine...
Will you shut up about your damn medical records and get to the fat, Michelle?
It is sometimes very hard to get a doctor to take you seriously in a fat body.
Well, you know, there is an easy way around that. It's a brand new thing called losing some weight.
So, here are a few tips and suggestions. First of all, if you are avoiding going to the doctors because of previous fat-shaming experiences...
Hold on. People avoid going to the doctor because they've previously pointed out their monstrous size? How is that so when one of their friends mentions their weight, they'll spout some crap about being big-boned or retaining water, but when a medical professional says it, someone who isn't gonna buy your big-boned bullshit, you'll just stop going to the doctor? Holy shit, somehow you've made obesity even more unhealthy.
Please don't. You're only putting your own health at risk.
Very true, though I'd argue you already did that once you started eating 3 bags of grated cheese as a light snack.
Even if you have to go back to a different doctor or a different practice, or whatever it is, do it.
Yeah, change doctors instead. I mean, likelihood is the new one will tell you the same thing as the old one, but do it anyway. Switching doctors is probably the closest thing you'll get to exercise, isn't it?
But don't avoid the doctor, don't ignore your symptoms just because you've had a bad experience in the past. It's so tough to go back to the doctors after you've been fat shamed or body shamed.
Is it fat shaming though? I mean, when someone in the street shouts something like, "Holy hell, look at that beast." Sure, that's fat shaming, and it's great. But when a doctor points out your unhealthy weight, that's not fat shaming. That's a doctor doing their damn job.
But it's important you do so because you're only putting your own life at risk.
I think the ship has already sailed on that one, Michelle.
Tip number 2 is, where possible, ask for a different practitioner. If you are feeling body shamed, if you are feeling fat shamed,
then that would imply you feel some shame about the state of your body, wouldn't it? Which I think is bullshit, because you said yourself you make videos on body positivity. So where's the shame, Michelle? Pick a side. This isn't a McDonald's menu. You can't have it all.
Then you're completely within your right to ask for someone who will be able to treat you without having fat bias or weight stigma or making you feel bad.
Fat bias and weight stigma, eh? Is that when you see a chocolate cake and you think, I'm gonna stick my face in it?
Number 3, remember you are an expert in your own body.
Yeah, and doctors are just making shit up as they go along, right?
I can't emphasize that enough. No matter how many degrees they have or how many years of education they have,
and no matter how much of their life they've devoted to the one subject you're having to consult them on, you know better. Great.
You are the only person who feels the physical sensations that you have in your body.
But the body also lies, Michelle. Like when it tells you you're hungry. You're not hungry, you're greedy.
Therefore, you are the most accurate person to describe your symptoms.
Michelle, that is literally what you have to do when you walk into the doctor's office. You don't sit down and when they ask what's the problem, you go, guess. You know? You don't say, well, doctor, you've got 3 degrees and 18 years experience in medicine. You tell me.
And yes, you need their help to diagnose you, and Google is not going to be your friend when it comes to diagnosis.
Google isn't anyone's friend. Plus, I don't know how you're going to use WebMD when your fingers are too chunky to use the keyboard. You could use chopsticks, I suppose. Must have a whole lot of those lying around.
But you are an expert in your own body. You know what normal feels like, and you know what's not normal in your body.
And what's not normal in your body? I'm guessing salad.
So if you think something is wrong, pursue it.
That is a metaphorical pursuit, of course. No one's actually expecting you to get up.
I've had to go to 5 doctors once to get the proper diagnosis.
That's a lot of doctors. I imagine all of them being there at the same time, you know? Like, right, Steve, you take that side, I'll take this side, you 3 go over there, and let's figure out what's up with this bitch.
And every single doctor before that told me it was just because I needed to lose weight.
Well, can you blame them? Think of how many patients they see in a day. It's not unfair that they'd give you the old ocular pat down. I mean, if I walked into a surgery at 9 a.m. quaffing a can of special brew, I wouldn't blame them for saying whatever's wrong with me is down to my drinking. And that's when I say, but doctor, I'm just big-livered.
So keep going, especially if you've seen a change in symptoms to what you're normally used to. That's not in your head. You've not concocted that in your head.
Whereas the idea that you can be the size of a cargo ship and still be healthy has been concocted in your head.
But these doctors have grown up in a fat-biased society just like you have.
Whoa, hold on. Grown up in a fat-biased society? What are you suggesting doctors are prejudiced against you? If that were the case, Michelle, they'd say, no, big un, I'm not seeing you. Fuck off and die. I mean, how much cholesterol do you have on your brain that when a doctor says a particular ailment is down to your sheer mass that you think, nah, it's alright, he's just fatphobic? What's wrong with you?
And so their judgment are being clouded in order to give you a thorough medical examination. I'm so sorry for that.
Yeah, when some industrial-sized tub of lard waddles into a doctor's office complaining about shortness of breath, they should take blood tests and a fucking MRI scan just to tell them it's because they're fat.
My next tip is for what to say if a doctor starts body shaming you.
Personally, I'd go for, thank you, doctor. I guess you would know.
I usually say something along the lines of, I understand it's your job to warn me about health concerns.
But fuck you, I'm gonna ignore them.
But I don't understand how you making me feel bad about the body I live in is conducive to me living a healthier lifestyle.
But the doctor isn't making you feel bad. Your body is making you feel bad. It's going, hey, Michelle, keep doing this to me and I'ma give up on you, bitch. Good news is you don't have to walk to your own funeral. Bad news is the pallbearers are gonna give up halfway and slide your coffin to the altar.
Another tip is I am just very blunt.
Agreed. There isn't a single corner on your body, is there?
I say to them, out of curiosity, if this was a thin person sitting here, what treatments and what scans and what tests would you be running right now?
And if I were a doctor, I'd say lose some fucking weight and I'll show you.
Can you please run the same tests for me? And my final thing to say is if they want to put you on a scale and it's not necessary to the diagnosis, then feel free to fight back.
Yeah, because they're all just doing it for their own amusement, aren't they? All surgeries have a monthly competition for who gets the heaviest patient, and the winner gets a small certificate and some Taco Bell vouchers.
Most things don't require you stepping on the scale. If you had an eating disorder, feel free to say that.
What? But that's one of the ways to tell if someone has an eating disorder, to find out if they are dangerously over or under what is considered a healthy weight. Unless your eating disorder's like you keep ingesting snails or something, and even then, I don't think that's actually an eating disorder, it's just being French. No cure for that one, sadly.
And at the very least, if they make you step on the scale, you are completely within your right to ask them to not share that information with you.
Why? It's not the gender of a baby. Why would you want to keep it a secret? So you can have a weight reveal party in the future? Surprise, I'm fucking fat. Yeah, we know, Heather. There was no need to get so obese you couldn't see the number on the scales over your stomach.
They can know how much you weigh, but you do not need to. You do not need to be triggered by knowing how much you weigh because you're trying to get accurate medical treatment.
Michelle, if knowing your weight triggers you, you probably have too much of it. Instead of literally shaking, eat less and literally exercise.
So I know it's not the ideal situation and it's really tough to stand your ground, but your body is worth advocating for. Your body is worth fighting for.
It's just not worth taking care of.
And you deserve accurate medical treatment.
Yeah, you do. So when a doctor says, you're too fat, sort your shit out, maybe you would do well to heed that advice, you know? Just because they've mentioned your weight doesn't mean it's inaccurate. You can't tell them they're wrong because you saw a body positivity video on YouTube. Like, yeah, I know you've been a doctor for 50 years, but this person has 1 million subscribers, so I'm gonna believe them. Now, don't get me wrong, some doctors will take a cursory glance and put everything down to your size, which can be a misdiagnosis. So do them and yourself a favour and lose some weight, because they can't blame it on you being fat if you aren't. Problem solved. Thanks for watching, guys. Please consider becoming a patron to fund my liposuction. And check me out on BitChute or I'll get Michelle to sit on you. The links are in the description, and remember, if you're overweight, don't rely on other people for support. Our backs can't take it.